Chapter 46. Kill your entire family. Knowing where Lin Beishan was, Kang Chon was quite relieved. He let out a cold smile as his body fell, slowly sneaking towards the outside of the mountain from the dense woods. Kang Chon took the very sunny avenue that led to the pavilion, which was undoubtedly the place where the Lin family had the most soldiers stationed, and also the place that was most easily exposed. However, compared to the threat of Jiden's stage powerhouses, he felt that this was instead the safest place. As the old saying goes, the most dangerous place is the safest place, and it was true. Lin Beishan had deliberately stationed his soldiers to guard the main path, and guarded the side path by himself alone, obviously thinking that, if Kang Chon and the others were to go out of the mountain, they definitely wouldn't go through the main path openly and honestly, and in fact, Kang Chon did indeed think this way. Unfortunately, Lin Beishan could not have imagined the existence of Emperor Dan in any case. And how could his whereabouts be hidden from the divine thoughts of Emperor Dan, a harmonization stage expert? In this way, Kang Chon took the right path and stalked all the way towards the mountain. However, the Lin family did have a lot of people on the main road, and even though Kang Chon had collected his breath, he still encountered several Lin family patrols along the way. It was just that the strength of these people was too low, and they were resolved by Kang Chon without waiting for them to speak. In the end, Kang Chon passed through the Lin family's main road without making a sound and entered the heavy, iron city. As soon as he entered the city, Kang Chon breathed a sigh of relief, looked back at the back of the royal mansion, and sneered in a low voice, "Lin Beishan, this time, I'll also let you have a taste of what it's like to lose your loved ones." After saying that, Kang Chon ran along the familiar road towards the royal mansion. For the royal mansion, Kang Chon was already very familiar with it. After all, he had lived here for 18 years. It was just that today's Wong mansion had long since changed its face, and the owner of it had been replaced with someone from the third elder's lineage, and the Wong family patriarch was clearly Wong Chon. "Wong Chon, I'm here." Kang Chon looked at the familiar gate of the Wong mansion. Unrivaled killing intent erupted from within his icy cold eyes. His revenge would start from here. The dark moon and windy night was the time to kill. Kang Chon did a flip and jumped into the royal mansion. There, our two Wong family underlings guarding the door suddenly saw the black shadow that jumped in. Before they had time to report, they were pinched by Kang Chon and broke their necks, rolling their eyes and dying. Kang Chon didn't stop, continued to go deeper into the royal residence. All the guards he passed along the way were killed by him, and none of them were able to send out a voice for help. This is not that Kang Chon's strength is already so powerful that he ignores these people, but he is too familiar with the royal residence. He knows exactly where the guards of the royal residence are guarding, so naturally, he can do it all the way smoothly. Even Kang Chon himself was a bit surprised that Wong Chon hadn't changed his habit of guarding the royal residence. Perhaps, in his view, he and Grandpa were already unable to come out from the back of the mountain. Kang Chon thought like this. After resolving the guards that passed along the way, Kang Chon continued to the place where the subordinates and children of the royal family lived, and while these people were still immersed in a beautiful sleep, he acted like a devil and sent these people into hell one by one. There were no noisy sounds of killing or miserable cries of fear. All there was a soft sound of a pinched neck. The silent royal mansion seemed even more silent, with only a murderous aura that slowly enveloped it. It was as if Kang Chon was transformed into a god of death, silently reaping the lives of each and every royal residence. He had a cold face, and there was not a single fluctuation in his icy eyes, as if he was doing something insignificant. As a matter of fact, these Wong family children were all traitors of the Wong family. They were either from the third elder's lineage or those who had surrendered. The true Wong family members had already died in the passageway in the back of the Wong mansion. For these people, Kang Chon did not have the slightest bit of sympathy, and he killed them without even a hint of hesitation. This is the last room, if there are no accidents. This is where the kid Wang Fei lives. In the middle of the silent royal mansion, Kang Chon arrived in a luxurious small courtyard, which he was familiar with as he had lived here for more than 10 years. That was listening to Range 1. Among the bunch of residences of the children of the royal family, listening to Range 1 was undoubtedly the topmost, because this was where Kang Chon's mother lived in the first place. And Kang Chon's mother at that time was the most outstanding child of the entire royal family, as well as the daughter of the patriarch Wang Tixong, so the place where she lived was naturally the best. After Kang Chon's mother disappeared, Kang Chon lived here. I remembered that back then, when Kang Chon failed to build his foundation, Wang Fei had even instigated the family's children to force Kang Chon to give up this place. However, with Wang Tixong's intervention, he still failed. Now that the entire Wang family was being controlled by the third elder's lineage, Wang Fei would definitely move here to satisfy his own heart's desire on one hand, and to humiliate Kang Chon on the other. Kang Chon was very clear about this brat's mind. He sneered and slowly dived in. While Kang Chon was sneaking into the hearing Range 1, an old voice came out from the house where one of the Wang family's elders resided. "Come on, man, is the old man's tea ready yet?" Unfortunately, the maid who had brought him the tea had long been knocked out by Kang Chon on the way. For these underlings who served the tea, Kang Chon did not kill them, but only knock them out. "Come on, people." For a long time no sound was seen. This fifth elder finally became angry. He originally could not rank at all in the Wang family, but now that those elders of the Wang family had died out, he had only risen to the top. Naturally, he was spirited, but he did not think that his subordinates dared to slow him down in such a way, and his face immediately became ugly. It seems like it's time for this elder to establish his authority. This fifth elder's eyes flashed with a hint of coldness as he marched towards the Wang family's kitchen. The road was quiet. Those guards who were supposed to stand guard unexpectedly did not come out to greet him. This made the fifth elder even more furious. He felt that these subordinates were becoming more and more unlikable. They even dared to be blatantly lazy. In the mood to ruthlessly rectify the situation, the fifth elder walked into the Wang family's kitchen with a gloomy face. Suddenly, the fifth elder's gaze narrowed as he saw that there were two guards lying right at the entrance of the kitchen, their own swords and knives stuck in their chests, and bright red blood spilled all over the place. "There are assassins." The fifth elder's heart was instantly startled. There was no need for him to think much at all. He immediately shouted at the sky, and his shrill voice instantly spread throughout the entire royal mansion. In the darkness of the night, Kang Chon gathered his breath and dived into the hearing Range 1. He secretly looked towards the house in front of him. The house was brightly lit, and from the window one could vaguely see a silhouette sitting cross-legged on the bed, obviously cultivating. "This kid is quite diligent." Kang Chon was slightly surprised. Although this kid Wang Fei was proud and arrogant, he wasn't lazy in terms of cultivation. Otherwise he wouldn't have been known as a genius of Heavy Iron City, second only to Li Chunjiao, in the first place. Suddenly, Wang Fei, who was sitting on the bed, violently opened his eyes. His eyes were shining brightly, almost at the same time as he shouted. He struck his palm towards Kang Chon, who was outside the window. His unceasing true chi was like waves lapping at the shore. Good strong vigilance. Kang Chon was surprised, but did not retreat. The same palm hit out, although he did not cultivate any palm techniques, but with the peak of the 7th level of foundation establishment's thick true chi, this palm also hit out a terrifying power. Boom! The two of them struck out a palm through the window, and the powerful force directly crumbled this wall where the window was located, revealing a shocked Wang Fei inside the room. "Kang Chon, how is it you? Why are you here?" Wang Fei looked at Kang Chon outside the house with a shocked face. It seemed that he did not expect the other party to come here. After all, he knew that Lin Baishan a Jidan stage powerhouse, had been guarding the passageway at the back of the royal residence. Could it be that this guy had eluded the blockade of the Lin family? Wang Fei was puzzled in his heart. He really didn't believe that Kang Chon could escape Lin Baishan's blockade to come here. "I'm here to kill you. First I'll kill you. Then I'll kill your father. And finally I'll kill your grandfather, to avenge the deaths of all the dead sons and daughters of the Wang family." The Kang Chon outside the room did not give Wang Fei too much time to think. He sneered coldly and blasted his fist towards Wang Fei. His thick true chi erupted and fiercely stirred out along his fist, forming a terrifying wave of chi. "Just by you, even your grandpa is not a match for the Lin family, master, let alone you. Since you're here, you don't want to leave again." Wang Fei was furious at his words, but he also knew that he was no match for Kang Chon. So he immediately rushed out towards the outside of the listening range one and shouted loudly for the guards of the royal family under his breath. Rumble. Being hit by Kang Chon's punch, the entire house completely collapsed, engulfing himself in it. "Come on, people. Come." Wang Fei ran in a hurry, shouting continuously under his breath. He didn't dare to delay, because he had heard about Kang Chon capturing Lin Wei alive. Even Lin Wei, at the late 8th level of Foundation establishment, was no match, let alone him. Boom! A figure steeply rushed out from amongst the collapsed houses. He had an upright figure, long eyebrows into his temples, and two cold bolts of electricity shot out from his dark eyes, as if he was a god of death from hell, exuding a heavenly murderous aura. Run away to your heart's content. I will make you slowly suffer in fear." A murderous aura filled Kang Chon's body. Disdain filled his icy eyes. With a single step, he actually crossed several feet away, and this divine ability of shrinking the ground made Wang Fei scared to death. Wang Fei had never realized that death was so close to him, and that fearful mentality of impending death almost caused him to collapse. He shouted loudly, but unfortunately, there was no echo, as all the guards and subordinates of the royal residence had already been killed by Kang Chon, and the remaining elders could not have rushed over immediately, even if they heard the sound. Tiger King Cannon. Kang Chon suddenly punched out without exerting his full strength, but it caused Wang Fei in front of him to be scared out of his wits, and hastily stopped his body to fend it off. With a loud bang, Wang Fei fell back dozens of steps, and he used the recoil to continue fleeing forwards. Kang Chon was slightly surprised. His punch was actually blocked by him, although he didn't use all his strength. But that was a solid 7th level Foundation establishment strength. By all rights, Wang Fei couldn't catch it at all. One must know that since the last bar mitzvah, when Wang Fei performed the golden needle stabbing point, his cultivation had already regressed from the 6th level of Foundation establishment to the 5th level of Foundation establishment. So how could he possibly be able to catch this 7th level of Foundation establishment's punch from him? Kid, his current cultivation level at the 7th level of Foundation establishment. If you don't take it seriously, I'm afraid you'll really be able to run away from him. Dan Huang's voice came from his mind. Under his huge divine thoughts, Wang Fei's cultivation level was clearly visible. Kang Chon was even more surprised when he heard this. This kid not only didn't regress, but also broke through the 7th level of Foundation establishment. Could it be that he had some kind of strange encounter? Between thoughts, Kang Chon also got serious. He sped up, caught up with Wang Fei, and once again threw a punch. This time, he used the power of the peak of the 7th level of Foundation establishment. He did not believe that Wang Fei could still catch it. Sure enough, feeling this terrifying power, Wang Fei, who was darting in front of him, immediately felt his scalp go numb and had to stop and deal with it with all his might. 7 injury fist 5th style. At the moment of crisis, Wang Fei did not hide in the slightest and struck his current strongest strike. At once, it seemed like waves of shock and waves of air rolled over. Sculptor's little skill. Kang Chon coldly smiled, his fist clenched. The thick true chi broke out of his body, like a giant wolf, ruthlessly pouncing at Wang Fei. Wang Fei's face was full of panic, the fifth style of the 7-injury fist, which he thought was the most powerful, simply couldn't withstand Kang Chon's random punch. The two sides were not at a level at all. At the beginning, Kang Chon could fight at the 5th level of Foundation Establishment, defeating Wang Fei, who was at the 7th level of Foundation Establishment.